Modern feminism has sold women a lie that marriage should be a partnership.
Romance is not the foundation for a good relationship.
The more you give up, the more you gain, like the more influence that you gain. Do you want to be right or do you want to be married in this case?
Right, or do you want to have a good marriage, right?
Yeah.
Because not every marriage is great. Half of marriages that survive the divorce grinder, that don't go in divorces, are unhappy and worse. If you expect to have equal rights,
Prepare
at some
for
point
equal lefts.
the equal lefts will come.
Rejection of physical intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
That is the number one way that you just will kill your relationship.
So today, we are returning to talk about submission again. I know it's a really unpopular topic in modern society, but this is something that is essential to a Christian marriage if we're reading the book for what it says. Interestingly enough, this week I had released a video about Ephesians 5 and how people read it completely wrong for the most part in the modern church, and it has popped the heck off. It's been great. Plenty of good comments. Go ahead and I'm going to link it in a card so you can go ahead and take a look at that after this.
Thanks for all the new subs.
Yeah. Whew, thank you for all the new subscribers. Appreciate you guys. All right. So going back to it, we had discussed a lot of the background of kind of how we related to one another in early marriage, what kind of our backgrounds, how we grew up, and our family of origin and what roles those played in the way that we grew up and developed and how we interacted with one another in early marriage. And now we're going to start from the perspective of when things changed, what things caused that, and second and third order effects that came after that. You ready for that wild ride?
Yeah.
All right. So between consistency and confidence, which of those two factors played a more important role in the change from your perspective?
Just by like majority, I guess, like it's probably pretty close, but consistency.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about how you experienced consistency and what that spoke to you.
Like when there was a problem and, more often than not, I'm the one who's freaking out about it. And you just were just like the duck on water with all the feet paddling, going crazy underneath, but nobody knows because it's like, it's fine. I've got this. And it was true. You did got this.
Right. And it's just one of those things where a lot of guys don't recognize that by maintaining composure while you're under stress, it really helps your wife to relax when they would be on edge otherwise. Right? There are plenty of circumstances where we had very trying times in other things going on in our life that by keeping it compartmentalized and speaking to men that I trusted about those things rather than coming to you and trying to load all of that emotional burden on you,
right,
is a very different set of circumstances.
So many women are just like, I want him to be confident. I want to be his confidant. I want to be his partner that he consults. I want to be his advisor. No, you don't. I'm serious. You don't. And the way that works is that it becomes somebody that you can count on to just handle it, especially in those times where we forget about every little thing. Mm-hmm. But it seems like, especially if you are in a trusting relationship where it's with someone you can generally count on, in those times where it seems like you're trying to scramble a little bit to right the ship, I'm calm. I'm like, it doesn't matter. This is going to be fine. It's going to work out. We just need to figure it out a little bit more. And it's fine.
Sure.
So it makes it almost like I become that, it reverberates back off of me back to you. Like your calm reverberates back. Like, it's funny. And you don't even have to ask for your brown pants.
Well, it's really interesting, right? Because I think you're hitting on something that's very important for a lot of guys to understand is that women typically act like a mirror and an amplifier. Whatever it is that you provide to them, they go ahead and mirror it and spit it back to you 10 times over. Mm-hmm. So whether it is heat, you're going to get fire. Whether it's calm, you're going to get a soothing hot spring of goodness. Right?
But yeah, if it's crazy, you're going to get chaos.
Right. And it just depends on what it is that you are intending to receive. And if you are seeking to receive something positive, you probably should vest something positive first. And I think that that is something that very few people realize, is that when guys talk about leadership, oftentimes it's a matter of the tonality that you maintain, the calm and composure that you have, regardless of what you're saying. Because you can say something that is cutting and a mild rebuke, but for her benefit. But when you're saying it calmly, it's going to be received one way, where if you go ahead and just scream and shout and all that, it's going to go completely off the rails. Because there will be a time and a place for stern correction, because certain things will come up that will require that. And that's just a fact of life. And if you've never experienced that, then great, you live a perfect life. But unfortunately, we live in reality, and that's not the case. Now, what feeling did you have when you recognized that you were no longer responsible for the consequences of my decisions? Because that's a thing that a lot of people have a problem with. Because if we were to go ahead and operate in a marriage where I'm making the calls, but I'm bearing all the responsibility for the decisions that I make, a lot of times women want to have that decision-making authority, but don't want to have the accountability that comes alongside it.
Yeah, that's funny. It's like we talk so much about like how women want all the power and none of the responsibility, that when you actually mentioned like it working as it should, I'm just like, I don't even know. Like, it's funny because but with us, it's been such a thing for so long that like it just does. It just works, you know?
Right. It is a matter of habit.
Yeah.
Right. It has been a muscle that has been trained so long and so often that it's
you don't even think about it.
Right. It's like if you were to be going day to day and wearing 100 pounds of extra clothing on yourself for months on end, and then one day you just go walking with normal clothes, you're going to feel light as a feather by comparison.
It's like the people on Biggest Loser, when they put all the weight back on, they give them weighted vests with all the weight that they lost. And they're like, how did I ever live like this? It's like, you just did, because it was just normal.
And that is actually a really good example about submission, right?
Yeah.
So if
the thing is that it, you know, everybody balks at it because there's a cost. There's a cost up front.
Right.
That is the thing. It's like they don't understand. They never get to that point where they can see the benefits of it, because it's like, you know, starting like a diet or something that's very restrictive.
Sure.
And you're just like not seeing anything because you won't for, you know, what, the first 6 weeks
Month,
at
2
least,
months?
you'll see something start to shift, but people don't really notice. And that's kind of what you want out of, like, especially something to change your physical appearance.
Right.
Like, you want people to notice.
Right.
And you have to wait like 12 weeks for that. Nobody has time. Ain't nobody got time for that, you
want
know?
plastic surgery results with like $5 of fast food worth of effort. It's just not going to work.
Right? Yeah. So that nobody gets to that point. So they don't understand that, yes, there's a cost where you just have to radically, like, I want to say something, and doesn't need to be said. Don't need to. It's really hard to do that.
Right.
Especially as a woman. Oh my gosh. It's like, oh my gosh, if I keep this in, my head's going to explode. Sometimes it feels like that. I will be real with you. But when you practice it enough, it's awesome, because there's stuff that comes up and I'm like, I just throw my arms up and I'm just like, what do you need? What can I do? How can I help you?
Yeah.
And that's it. Because win, lose, or draw, like, you're going to handle it no matter what. And I'm just here as the support.
And the thing is, that role suits you better and you stand to gain the most with the least amount of risk. And that's something that a lot of people don't understand, or they just don't trust the man that they have picked. That's really what the thing is, more than anything else.
What it comes down to, yeah.
And something that is really important for people to understand is, in order to craft the qualities and characteristics to be a consolidated man, for the most part, it takes like 10 years of adulthood for guys to really get it. And that's even if they're working at it. It takes time. Like, wisdom comes from experience, and experience is not something that you can just buy. And that's something that is both frustrating and liberating. It is frustrating because from a modern perspective, we want everything right now. We want direct message quickness in terms of communication, we don't want to go ahead and do the carrier pigeon thing. But some things in life require that level of time and effort over time. Now, the thing that is liberating about it is that it is a common course that has existed since time immemorial. Regardless of culture, regardless of location, it has always been this way, that men needed to undergo trials and efforts and tribulations to become the man to lead his family well. And that's tough because during that period of time where he's enduring those trials, often in new marriages and things of that nature, we're not perfect, and we never will be perfect. But in our youth and in our exuberance and in our time where we are the most imperfect because we are the most impatient, these are the times where it's the most important to give a man grace to be able to fail and fail gracefully. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying fail in some manner that could just completely ruin the family. There's measured levels of failure that can happen, but men need to experience failure so that they can gain the wisdom necessary to succeed and to lead well. What was one of the more frustrating things about having to go through that experience gaining process from your perspective?
The lack of control, especially for me, whose safety gland is a little bit bigger than the average mama bear's. It was tough to have to just go and have to take that beat to think about it.
Right.
And just because things are true does not mean they need to be said.
Right.
Like tons of "I told you so."
Yeah, what's the purpose of doing that?
Yeah.
Like, if you're just seeking to cut the man down, really, what benefit is it to you as the wife to do that? You're going to feel good temporarily because you told him, but does that actually move the needle positively for the family?
Right? Do you want to be right or do you want to be married in this case?
Right? Or do you want to have a good marriage, right?
Yeah.
Because not every marriage is great. In fact, half of marriages that survive the divorce grinder, that don't go in divorces, are unhappy and worse. And a lot of times it's just they're together out of stubbornness or a fear of loss or anything like that. It isn't because they genuinely appreciate and care for one another.
Even the ones who do result in divorce, it isn't just all of a sudden they woke up this day and was like, I want to file for divorce. It was those kind of cracks in the foundation that began to erode the relationship.
Right.
And it's those little things where it's like, okay, you want to be right? Cool. But think about the cost to your marriage.
Right. And it's interesting because in much of the modern feminist church, there's always this caveat that's thrown on the idea of submission. Oh, yeah, make sure you submit so long as your man is godly, so long as he is doing what he's supposed to be doing.
It's like, and there is no further instruction on the standard by which you judge that.
Well, no,
that is
because
the worst.
What that ends up doing is the inference is the wife becomes the judge, the jury, and the executioner.
Yeah.
However, if you go ahead and look at scripture, there is no prescription for that to be the case ever.
But I'm a Deborah.
Every feminist is Deborah or Rahab.
Oh, please.
Right?
Well,
they're the redeemed harlots out
a lot
there.
of those I had to agree for.
Right. A lot of them end up on social media going ahead and spreading their testimony, so to speak, after they spread their testimony. But that's neither here nor there. Right, but you get the idea, though, is in all of these scriptures having to do with the household codes, there is never an instance that gives the woman an out, aside from if the man is having her or commanding her to sin. That is the only explicit exception to the rule, right? Even if you as a Christian wife and you have an unbelieving husband, in 1 Peter 3, it explicitly states,
tells you to
even
submit.
if your husband is not, or is an unbeliever, he can be won through your conduct and your quiet spirit. No exceptions to the rule. Yeah. Now, let's go ahead and pull the coin to the other side because, yeah, it's a unilateral command for wives to submit to their husbands. Absolutely true. The other side of that coin is a unilateral command for husbands to love their wives. Now, a lot of people get confused about this word love because in English, we got this one word that means a bajillion different things. But in Greek, they got 4 different words that means love, but in very specific ways.
Read C.S. Lewis's The Four Loves. It's amazing.
Right. Now, a lot of people falsely assume that love your wives is romantic love, eros love. Eros is only used 2 times in Scripture. And it's used in the book of Proverbs twice, and it's in the context of adultery.
Yikes.
Twice about adultery. The concept of romance, while it is good and useful for a purpose, that is not the cornerstone upon which to build a marriage. The cornerstones upon which to build a marriage are agape and storge, 2 different kinds of love that, when combined, create the foundation for an incredibly strong marriage. Given that, what do you think is the big thing holding women back from really understanding and like taking God's word for what it says and just obeying that?
The pride and the self. It's like the self-serving, always feeling like it needs to be about them. They always need to be involved in this whole like equal partnership.
Okay, tell me about that.
That modern feminism has sold women a lie that marriage should be a partnership.
You know, what's really interesting is a lot of times they say that. And I think that if this is going to require a little bit like upper level thinking, but there is a partnership model where it actually makes sense. And it's called a limited liability partnership. So there's a way that you form your business where you have a general partner that has all decision-making authority, but has unlimited liability. And then on the other side of it, you have the limited partners. The limited partners have a full equity stake based on what they bought in at, and they have fiduciary protection from the general partner. Like, he is supposed to make decisions for the benefit of the limited partners, not for his own benefit. But most of the time when people are saying marriage is a partnership, they're not saying that.
No.
They're saying 50-50, equal say, equal worth, all this. And don't get me wrong, when we say that marriage is not 50-50, when we say it, I'm not saying that husbands and wives have a difference in moral worth or heirship in Christ. Not the case. We can go ahead and see in Galatians 3:28, that's not the case, because whether you are Jew or Greek, slave or free, man or woman, female, we're all one in Christ Jesus, right? So that portion of it is not the thing.
Yeah, when they say equal value, equal say, I'm like, okay, yes, I agree with you 100%.
Well, but equal say is not, I would disagree with equal say.
No, like equal say, like as in everybody gets to voice their opinions.
Sure, you can voice your opinion.
I'm not saying that like equal, like
decision-making authority.
Decision-making, that's a different thing.
Sure.
Because there are many steps to moving toward, making a major decision in life, in business, whatever you have.
Right.
Right? There is the consideration period,
Yeah.
the deliberation period, and then there's the actual like
execution.
Action. Yeah. So I'm getting there. I'm like, yes. But then
there's a difference in role and a difference in calling and a difference in levels of authority, because it's very clearly laid out in 1 Corinthians that the head of Christ is God, and Christ is the head of man, and man is the head of his wife. Very clearly laid out in Scripture. And people refuse to believe what the word says for what it is.
I actually had a conversation with somebody where we talked about this whole like, we should be equal, partnerships, and we talk about everything. It's like, That's great. And then we make a decision together. I'm like, how does that work?
Now, how do you actually do that?
Well,
if you disagree?
Yeah. Well, like,
if you agree,
he
it's
actually
easy.
does the thing because we talked about it and I agree. Well, cool. That means you got your way. But what about when there's a standstill? And there inevitably will be.
Oh, we're going to talk about that.
And so I'm just like, I actually asked them, I said, if there was, you made the whole pros and cons list like a responsible, like cerebral person, right?
Sure.
And you put that, and then you check the box what decision you guys were going to make, and there's the cons list and the pros list on the same thing, would you sign your name to that?
What do you mean?
Would you sign your name to, yes, we'll make this decision knowing the cons of that? Like, it's like almost like a contract, like a liability thing.
Well, I think that's something that guys naturally do.
Yes, but I'm asking a woman this.
Okay, what did she say?
And she was like, I'm like, you're liable for these things to happen to you as much as to your husband. And she was like, No, well, he's going to do the ultimate making the decision. I'm like, oh,
only when she's responsible
you
and
don't want to sign
liable.
your name. Okay, then. I see how it is. It
Only
was
when there's
funny.
consequences is she going to go ahead, because
And then it
we're
was
talking
like,
about accountability, right?
And then it was
Run
like,
away.
save face and walk away. I'm like, okay.
Right, because we understand that we bear the consequences of our choice. It's one of those things where men are and have traditionally been the king of their household. However, the king of the castle also bears the burden of nobility. Noblesse oblige. That is the burden of nobility, which means that if you have decision-making authority, you bear responsibility for those decisions.
Or same.
Right? And you are looking out for those that are under your charge. And these are massively important things. But when we go ahead and ask this of how does the 50-50 partnership look like in that structure? There is no partnership. There is a clear line of authority and a clear line of responsibility.
So from a wife's perspective, really, so to go back to the original query here in this portion, the biggest thing is there's no thought behind it. It's just, I'm hot, you're hot, let's get it popping. Like, oh, well, he's a great this and that and the other thing that's self-serving. There is no real commitment, again, to the man and the mission.
Yeah. So you're talking about in the mate selection process, if a woman does not pay attention to these character qualities, she is likely to fall into that situation where she is finding that he is lacking in other areas.
Utterly and totally. If you haven't vetted him to, have a purpose, be on board with that purpose, and be okay with this person partnering with you. Like, not as an equal, I'm not saying that, but
gotcha.
Going through this whole thing together to accomplish this goal. If you haven't vetted this person and actually done the things to say, yes, this is what I'm on board for, then you're just kind of out there willy-nilly.
Yeah, that's true. So when things were changing in our marriage and you were getting accustomed to the idea of submitting to authority and things of that nature, what was the first thing that you felt after you were letting go of a lot of the burdens of your past?
Well, just before that, at that kind of breaking point, where it's like, I had to be reminded of what we were doing there and the fact that you were still about that mission,
right? And
that what I was doing, was it really adding to and moving toward that or taking away from it? Just kind of, it was selfishly motivated.
Right, because we weren't pulling in the same direction.
No.
Right.
I said we were, but we really weren't. And then it was just why do I have any reason to mistrust that he's going to do this for both of our benefit?
Right.
Absolutely not. For an entire already, over a decade, really, it was why am I fighting this? What am I fighting for?
Right.
And really, it was for myself to get what I wanted to do. And then it was okay, well, you need to correct that. And honestly, it was, a lot of it was all the talking in the world was it kind of wore itself out. It had to be where I just kind of, especially as who I am as a person, I have to mull things over. And I had to sit with it for a minute and really think about what I was doing was ultimately, it says in Proverbs, tearing down my own house with my own hands.
Right.
And I was like, this is not what I want to be. This is not who I want to be. And this is not who I want to be for us.
Right.
And thank goodness we didn't really start a family until after that.
Sure.
Really, after that work.
Yeah, and then it made early childhood a lot easier for our oldest two children,
Yes.
whereas if we had not done that work, it would have been a lot harder.
And before I was faced with a lot of being very ill.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing I turned that corner before that happened. Because it would have been everything together, facing my own limitations and, in the midst in the trenches of child rearing, all of this would have been more detrimental to my mental health than it already was.
Sure. And what's interesting is the whole time if you were to take a look at things honestly, you were never in a position where you really had to worry
No.
about anything, even from the beginning, right? Because I knew what I wanted in life, and I knew what I was willing to put into the arrangement. And that was something that brought you to commit to the arrangement in the first place, but yet you were holding back. And so that's the tough thing for me is like, look, I was doing pretty much all the things I needed to do. And yes, there was always areas for improvement. And that's just the natural progression of development for men. But sometimes that will wear on me as going, what in the world is going on? I am doing all the things. And I know there's a lot of guys out in the audience that feel like they're giving it their all in marriage and they are getting nothing back. Nothing. And it is a travesty.
It is. That's why when you brought up, a year ago doing this thing, and I was like, there are so many guys that need to hear this, that they have the option to say, no, I'm worth more than this.
Right.
I deserve better than this.
Yeah, be sure that if you say that you deserve better than this, actually put in the work so that you do actually deserve better than that.
And that is why I agreed to come and, even speak, because sometimes you need to hear this from a woman who's actually doing the things.
Right.
And maybe, then it's like you show your wife this, and then it's like, what are you doing? What are you really doing here? But definitely, I think really, me just kind of in the, path of just doing what I was told I was supposed to do, go to college and be a doctor, blah, 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 all this stuff, really, what really, called my bluff, so to speak, was when you were like, I'm going to join the military and we should probably get married and go do that. And I was like, huh? And then it was like, seriously, I had to literally let go of that.
Right.
Of that track. And so it really confronted me with, why am I really doing this? What do I really...
What do you hope to gain from that
exactly.
endeavor?
What is it really going to gain? Especially if I'm already committed to this man, and I was on board for the mission, the boat's leaving, literally. The ship is leaving. So am I going to get on there or just go, wait. Well, you go and I'll catch up. No. It was leaving.
Yeah.
It was leaving.
Because if we're being real honest, if you weren't hopping on the boat,
I would have missed it.
You would not be on the boat. And that's just what it is. And it's just harsh reality there.
Yeah.
And it is what it is.
But honestly, people now will look at me, and I actually have verbally, audibly said, my life is not hard at all. And people are like, oh, that must be nice. I'm like, it wasn't nice to start. That's the thing is when you see other people and you're like, oh, it must be nice and things are so easy. No, it took work to get there.
You didn't see the work it took to make it happen.
Anything that you seek to essentially, I'm not saying it as admonishing people, but anything you see that you are in the line of coveting, it's probably because those people put in the time and the effort to do these things, by and large.
Yeah, there's probably some gap involved, and there is a difference in what they were willing to give in exchange for that thing that they have now. And if you are not willing to put in that which they did to receive that which they have, that's a heart issue, and you really need to go ahead and take a look at that.
Exactly. So if you're sitting there going, oh, that must be nice. Oh, I want that. And you're not sitting there contemplating what it takes rather than just sitting there and saying must be nice, that's a you thing, and you need to go figure that one out.
Sure. Or what's interesting is sometimes people don't ask. They make assumptions. Mm-hmm. And if they're nearby in somebody's proximity and you have a relationship with someone and you say, you look like you have an amazing life. How in the world did you achieve this?
Yeah.
Most of the time they will tell you the story.
Yeah, like that one guy who goes and interviews billionaires.
Yeah.
One time he was in Nigeria and there was this woman who was had armed security around her.
Sure.
And he was like, hey, ma'am. And he was trying to be respectful. And the guys are like, hold it. And I was like,
they were doing their job.
I hope they were. It's I think he probably saw his life flash before his eyes. But he knew enough to want to still ask.
Right.
which was so good. And, and he shares that with everyone. And he's, made a great, niche space for himself based on that hustle. Mm-hmm. Just the fact that he's asking, but the fact that she actually was like, guys, chill. It's fine. I got this. Like, she was more than happy to have people, ask her and to share that. It's just like what we talked about earlier with the Titus 2 kind of thing.
Right.
And finding godly people who you want to, like, you have something that I would love to, like, I want to be you in this area when I grow up. Because nobody's going to have everything. You're not going to find an everything burrito. If you do, so happy for you. Please let me know who that is. But the fact that, like, these people and you ask them, they're honored. They really are honored that you notice that enough to ask.
Right.
And it's a beautiful thing that people are out there. You just have to ask.
Sure. And I mean, it starts small. I mean, people within your social circle, people within your congregation, if you go to church, I think these are reasonable things to do. And if you feel that you're not where you belong in terms of your position in the various hierarchies of life and your position in life, go ask someone that's in a place that you'd like to be closer to. And just start there.
Chances are they'll be happy to tell you. But also, furthermore, but
be respectful when you ask.
One, be respectful when you ask. You need to come correct. But also, be prepared for the answer.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what that is, because chances are you're going to see that they had 1,000 no's before they heard the one yes that was their break.
Right. And it's interesting because a lot of times people believe that growth is a straight line, and it is very rarely the case. There's usually a lot of bumps and bruises along the way. I know that our trajectory was
Ask us how we know.
Below the table to start. And
yeah,
then
right.
It went up in various spikes and peaks and valleys and then exponential rises here and there.
Some valleys were deeper than others.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's just part of the growth and maturation process. Mm-hmm. So as long as we can have a respectful eye to what the dynamic that we want takes in exchange and we're willing to pay it, that's all there is to it. It's about being willing to count the cost and being willing to pay that which what you want demands of you. Mm-hmm. Now, when we go back to talking about you wanting to wrestle for control about things and things of that nature, did being in control actually make you feel more secure? Like long-term or short-term, and address both sides?
It's just like a mosquito bite.
Okay.
Or chicken pox, or something where it's like you have you scratch the itch and it feels better, but then it starts hurting worse.
Tell me about that.
Because you're opening it up more.
Tell me more about that. I think that's very interesting.
Because when you start panicking about, I don't know, I feel like I'm going to take something frivolous just.
Yeah, sure.
It's just what is on the top
for the
of my
sake of example.
We've been so disjointed with our older kids, our younger kids. This is hypothetical. And we need to have a family trip so we can all get back together and improve our relationships. Okay. So it's like noble, mindset behind it on the surface, right?
On the surface. Yeah.
Right. So I come to you with this and it's like, and it's going for the low price of like $44,000. For a Disney World trip.
The low price. Okay,
right?
Sure.
No, I'm just being
I got you.
Crazy.
Keep rolling with it.
All right. But it's like we have this need, and this is the one thing that will fulfill this need.
And nothing else.
Nothing else will do, right?
Right, which is usually how it's framed in modern families.
Because we're just so busy here, and we have to get away from here so that we have the time to focus on one another.
Right.
And it's like, woman, absolutely not. Like,
that's not in the cards at all.
Right? So then I'm going to pitch a fit about all of this and go, you don't care about our family and blah.
That's often how it's framed,
This is
though.
how it goes, right?
Right. It is manipulative
Yes.
by its nature because you are intentionally crafting a circumstance and emotional stakes that never existed in the first place. And that specific solution that you are crafting as the reasonable way to solve the problem is really a desire that you have, not you personally, but
yes.
the hypothetical you of whoever's bringing this up. And it's really just selfish by nature. It's really what you want, not what you honestly believe is required for the dynamic. It is something that is nice to have, and you can go ahead and add some bows and bells and whistles to it to make it somewhat tangentially apply to the thing that you were saying it applies to, while it really applies to you just want to go to Disney World.
Right.
That's really what the deal is.
So
you peel off all the layers of the onion.
Say we went back and forth and we negotiated even a more modest trip, but it's like still a thing, right? So then I feel like I didn't get the big, expansive thing that I asked for in the first place. So I've got to cram as much as I can to make do with what I have, right? So this is my concession, is making do with what I'm given, right?
And then you go ahead and
I'm going to
crucify everything.
No, I'm going to pack all these different activities into this thing. So we are running ragged the entire time and nobody is having a good time.
Except for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Supposedly. And then and then at the end of every day, you're complaining about how much your feet hurt.
But then I'm also like posting these pictures. Oh, our family togetherness is so wonderful.
Right, and it's entirely performative by its nature.
Yeah.
You are just doing that so that people that you don't actually care about and do not care
Think
a
I'm a
lick
good
about
mom.
you think that you're a good mom. Has nothing to do with the truth of the matter. Has everything to do with appearances and your pride and your arrogance in that case. But nobody wants to point that out.
Yeah, right. And I'm posting daily pictures about how just also to convince myself that I am a good mother and we're doing this for our family togetherness, even though as the days progress, everybody is more progressively miserable because they're being marched around.
But oh boy, you're in control of everything.
But I feel like I'm fulfilling my family's needs. I feel like I'm doing what I can to be a good mom and to like bring our family together. It scratches that itch. But we get home and everybody wants to go to their own corners because they've been together so long and in a way that they didn't want to be, that they are sick of it.
Because you forced a dynamic that would not have occurred by any other means.
So then I come to you and I'm like, we need to do this every year so we get this time together.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? This was enough of a punishment now. Like, what is this?
Now we need to buy a membership to the Disney Vacation Club.
Well, and this is how two-income households are perpetuated, too. It's like, oh, okay, well, how are we going to afford this $44,000 trip to Disney World? I guess you're going to have to go to work. And then good luck finding your $80,000 a year job to go ahead and figure out paying for just the Disney vacation. So you're working for the entirety of a year for a week of nonsense. And then the kids are not being minded and lovingly cared for by their mother. They're being sent to public education to be indoctrinated by the culture writ large. All of these things are happening for the sake of sating your selfish desire to go ahead and go to Disney World.
When really it's a matter of, can you take a few days off of work and we can find some things to do, around here?
Yeah, there's a whole roller coaster ride of different things you can do to meet that same objective,
right,
in a more reasonable way. Like even going to like Branson, Missouri for a week, like that's a pretty fun place to be. Even going to Branson for a week
really fun.
Would be like
we did that.
$5,000 maybe, maybe, and that's if you're doing all the things. And
you stay for the timeshare pitch.
No, if you stay for the timeshare pitch, it's like $2,000 and that's it.
Knock 1,000 off of that at least.
Yeah, knock several thousands off. Oh my gosh, yeah.
They put us up at the Radisson. It was pretty nice.
But
that
was a while ago. But anyway, like that's the thing though, is that is emblematic of the idea of a woman wanting control and then manufacturing the emotional stakes and the hostage taking that comes into it.
What do they call that with the Baptists and bootleggers thing with the brick to the window thing?
Oh, the broken window fallacy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that's
create the problem.
You create the problem and you craft the solution.
Yeah.
Well, that's basically what's happening, right? Is you are introducing a problem where the nature of the problem is probably much less dire than is actually presented.
Like infomercials.
Oh, yeah.
Black and white and the person like eating chips terribly.
Yeah, something like that, where it's like, no way is this reflective of reality.
Oh my
but
gosh.
you need to go ahead
Yeah.
and set the emotional stakes high so that you can go ahead and twist everybody's arm. Now, going back to the idea of being in control of some of those circumstances that you were when you were less submissive as a wife, what did that actually do for you?
It was a temporary, it was honestly a temporary dopamine hit, really.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that had worn off, it was like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
Go to the next thing.
Well, that's why the whole idea of a honey-do list is abhorrent to me, where
Yeah.
where a woman feels like they have absolute command over her husband's time away from his primary vocation and can assign him tasks and duties without his consent.
Oh, yeah,
I think
like-
it's ridiculous.
The videos that we saw a few months ago, where the husband was sleeping in on a Saturday, and she was like
Wah wah wah.
making she yanked the covers off of him. What are you doing still sleeping? You need to get up and you got to mow the lawn and you got
It's like, excuse me?
ma'am.
I want to put that audacity up.
Right? It's crazy. I was just like, what's interesting is, I said what was on the top of my head about, us feeling disjointed as a family and we
Right.
need something that will bring us more together. What was interesting was also the time that I felt so connected as a family in general, because the little kids, they're little.
Yeah.
And they, you just kind of sit next to them and, be interested in what they're building in Minecraft or whatever, whatever. They need so little.
Right.
They just want to be with you. They just want to do things like when the big kids were gone at camp and, they helped load the dishwasher and unload it. And I was just watching. I'm like, wow, you're doing so good. And just kind of, that was enough for them. But our, teenagers are more complicated creatures.
They are.
And I loved, I didn't love that we were traveling for a funeral, but us starting that Stardew farm.
Yeah, the 4-player Stardew Valley farm was really awesome.
I was like, they love hanging out with us and I love hanging out with them. And it was a great time.
Yeah.
And it was funny. It was like sitting for a night in a hotel room, while we get some rest and recoup for the next day of travel. It was the best. It was so cool.
Yeah, and the kids really liked playing Commander with you that one time that you that
With
you
my
were willing
Dwight
to play.
deck.
That one
Yeah.
time that you were willing to play. They genuinely enjoyed it. And they talk about it every now and then. So
I mean, we could do that,
yeah.
It's just it doesn't need to be overcomplicated and overblown and all of that. And
you
it
definitely
just-
don't need to put the emotional stakes into it.
Yeah.
But really, that's not about what's actually at stake. It's about the levers of control that a woman typically wants to enact over a relationship is really what's going on there. When you decided to give up a lot of that controlling energy, did you feel like you were giving up power, or did you feel like you were giving up a burden?
For me personally, it was more of, a burden, especially the more that I let go, the more I saw it for what it is, like the spaghetti ball that we talk about.
Yeah.
Like all of this stuff. And, nowadays, if I say we're feeling like the same example of feeling disjointed as a family, and I cook up this entire scheme, to whatever. No, the way that I've practiced now so far, and the kind of submission muscles, if you will, that I've developed, I'll just come to you with, I don't feel like, we get as much time together as we should.
Sure. And
Just
normally
us
I'll
to be
ask what you
together.
mean by that.
And then it's like, what can we do with that? It's not, I have this whole scheme in the back of my head. I'm just waiting to slide that in there and be like, here, this is what we need. No, it's literally open, where I'm just like, what can we do? What's within our means and our power and our ability to do?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's a different perspective, right? It's you are a queen bringing a petition to her king. You were saying, this is something I am noticing in our lands. I don't know what the exact solution is. Here are some things that I'm thinking about. What do you think?
Yeah. And even if I did have preconceived notions about it, I wouldn't just try and work that in. I'd probably more than likely, and this is kind of like an upper level pro move, is like wait. Don't even if you have ideas and you have preconceived things you want to put forth, you wait for the opportunity to be like, either he has an idea to, solve the problem, he wants to sit with it for a while, you let him. Or if he says, I don't know what that looks like, can you give me some ideas of what, like, do you have any ideas?
Right.
Then you put that forth. And maybe you do have the crazy Delulu, like $44,000 Disney trip in there, but you go, but that's like 44 grand, and I don't know. Maybe we can figure out something that's not as crazy.
Sure.
Like, you could put it out there, and if you come correct like that, you can ask for the moon, but you're also naturally okay when you don't get it and you land somewhere among the stars.
Yeah. See, there's something
really
about
nice.
being a queen and understanding the health of the kingdom to make appropriate requests. Mm-hmm. Because when you know what the status of the kingdom is and what is reasonable to ask for and what is not reasonable to ask for, your reasonable requests are more likely to be accepted easily. Like, there are so many things that you just bring up, and I'm just like, yeah, sure, get it with our Amazon money next month. When I say Amazon money, I go ahead and we own a couple of stores, and we go ahead and buy all of our inventory on credit cards so that we can go ahead and get rewards points. And then every month, the rewards points turn into Amazon gift cards. And then I go ahead and hand them all to her. And I go, hey, I need us to have this, this, and this. Have fun with the rest. And, like, she gets to have that as spending money every month. And that's just kind of how it works.
Like, honestly, a big chunk of our homeschool books have been purchased. And a microscope for biology.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where it's like, she has that as her domain of things, and I go ahead and give her left and right boundaries of things that I need from that pot.
Yep.
And then the rest is like, hey, just go ahead and handle it as you see fit. Enjoy it. Do whatever. Get yourself something nice.
Because also, that it was like, as soon as it comes in, you don't even have to go get this, and this ahead of time, because that, like, within 10 seconds, it's already spent. That's not how it is.
That's not how it is, yeah. You're usually much more reserved with it.
Yeah.
You've gotten to be better with those resources under your command.
Yes. It was a learning curve, though. It really was. Yeah. But, yeah.
It took time. Just like anything else. Yeah. Like, it is something to be cultivated over time. Now, let's go ahead and talk about things that are in this same lane leading to submission or a resistance to, and we're going to talk about attractiveness, because we know that women are much more likely to submit to men that they are actually attracted to, right? If she doesn't find him hot, or if she is not emotionally compelled by his presence, she is more likely to resist everything that he has to say, because she's like, well, I don't even think you're hot. Why would I listen to you? Kind of thing. Which is wild, but that's exactly how it goes. So lesson to guys, once you get married, don't go ahead and let yourself go. Do not go ahead and just like gain all the weight. It is to your benefit to stay hot. Enjoy. And reap the benefits over time. I assure you, it's good stuff. What traits sound attractive in theory, in like a modern context, but when exercised in practice are incredibly unattractive?
Oh, people are just like, I want him to be so romantic and write me poems and buy me flowers and all of that stuff.
Okay. That's a hot button issue. So go ahead and go into that a little bit.
It's interesting because I've, in my experience, in my observations of other couples, especially other couples who have gotten married around the time we did.
Right.
So have been together as long as we have, or not together anymore.
Which is most of them.
Very few of the loudest relationships that broadcast across social media or, around in our sphere of influence or anything, the loudest ones are the most brittle.
Oh, yeah. Because they have something to prove. It isn't though their mere existence is enough to prove that they're doing something.
It's all the storefront window.
Right.
And inside is a haunted house.
Okay. Now, why is romance, why is that kind of just front window stuff and not genuinely an attractive trait, like for the long term?
Because inevitably there's not going to be money for flowers anymore. There's going to be times where they're away or whatever and they can't write you poems and all that stuff, or they're busy and they can't, especially, if they're a man of substance and they're busy working, 16 hours a day, 18 hours a day, even to hustle, and they don't have a time to send you a good morning text, or whatever.
Right.
And that kind of fades. And if your relationship and your attraction to that person is built on that, then it's going to falter.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, oh, well, he didn't send me a good morning text. He doesn't love me anymore.
Yeah. So that's a pretty controversial thing to say, is like, oh, hey, romance is not the foundation for a good relationship. But I'll tell you what, romance, generally speaking, is a fairly new invention, like all told across like human history. Like before 1800, people wouldn't get together because of romance. People would get together because of economic circumstances primarily. And you would have to build a relationship on something deeper than that. And oftentimes people would look at romance as suspicious. When people were to get Twitter-pated, people thought of that as like they were possessed by a demon. In a lot of the writings, they're like, this person's acting weird. Like,
you
what's
good, bro?
Like, are you all right? And so it was so wild. And then it became a custom for men of lower status to try to get relationships that they were not qualified for on the basis of their merits. And that idea kind of carries over, is if you ain't got it, romance it, and maybe you can go ahead and get it, is basically what the deal is so that you can hit a little bit higher by supplicating yourself, is basically what romance is. Whereas if you're a man that is making a mark in the world, you don't need romance as the foundation of what you do. You can toss it in here and there as a treat, but leave it there as a treat. Because everything else that you have to offer is so compelling that it is way more of a long-term impact than just some flowers every now and then and all of that. Like, that's going to be real controversial to a lot of people, but it's just what it is.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't know the background to a lot of this stuff.
As one who, like, does not get flowers even sometimes once a year, and I'm okay with that because every time you go to the kitchen, you ask me if I need something. That is more romantic than anything right there. That's awesome.
Yeah, because it shows consideration.
Yep.
And that's something that is important to you. And that's something that I noticed earlier on in our marriage. And I'm like, oh, this consideration speaks to her. That is something that is of relatively low cost to me. I'm already making the trip. Let me just ask, because that offer cost me little, but gave me outsized benefits. And so that became a habit. And you were of a good mind to remember to appreciate it.
Yeah.
And so by appreciating it, you reinforce that behavior so that it can continue in perpetuity.
Yeah. Even, when you are leaving and heading home, like you call me, not to tell me that you're coming home, not to report to me, but to ask me if there's anything that I need. There's always that space. Even if you don't say those words, sometimes I'm like, oh, hey, I need this for tomorrow. Could you pick it up, please?
Sure. And I'm prepared for that to be the case. Yeah.
And that is amazing. Like, I love having that. And it's like, it's not a thing where it's like, please say no. It's always like, if there's something, yes, I absolutely, I wouldn't ask if I wasn't willing to do it.
Right.
But also, the thing that I find to be important that I make sure that I do is always say please and thank you. Because courtesy is never out of style. You're never too married or, too old to be polite.
Absolutely.
And I acknowledge the things, like a lot of the time I'll go to the shower and I'll forget my robe is not hanging there. It's like tossed that way because I didn't put it back. And it's like laying there on the chair by the shower door. I'm like, thank you for that. I never make sure as much as I can, I make sure that never goes unnoticed.
And that's the thing that I think that a lot of men are sorely missing is genuine appreciation
Because
for the
it
work.
conveys respect.
It conveys respect, right? Because men, generally speaking, operate on honor and respect. Those are the things that speak loudest to men. And because men generally have a sense of justice and order, those things are all intimately connected. And by demonstrating deference and respect and appreciation for the things that he does, it brings value to the things that took genuine effort for him to do. Like when a man is a brain surgeon, there is a lot of work that goes into it, a lot of stress that's going on underneath the surface to go ahead and make sure that everything is perfect and in their proper order. And that level of compensation that they receive as a brain surgeon is commensurate to the level of problems they solve and all of the work and training and excellence that it took to get there. And when he gets home and he gets disrespect, when he is providing an amazing lifestyle for his wife, what does that convey to him? That his efforts are worthless is what it conveys to him. And no man that puts in that level of work wants to feel worthless. Because I tell you what, if he goes ahead and turns his head in another direction, some other woman will value that worth.
And then you'll be in trouble.
Right? And that's the thing. That's the ugly thing that we don't want to talk about in society, but it is true.
Just like, rejection of physical intimacy. That is the number one way that you just will kill your relationship.
Oh, yeah. And it's just one of those things where it is just wild. It's you go ahead and starve the man and then you expect him to not go seeking things elsewhere? How ridiculous is that? Like, sure, scripture forbids him from doing that, like with a married woman. But what are you going to do otherwise? Right? Nobody's comfortable with asking that question.
There's many 304s out in the streets.
Right?
Who will. But it's just interesting because when you talk about this topic, and then especially if you frame it in the context of the bedroom, that instantly women will become defensive and agitated and talk about, well, if I'm just like never saying no, it's like being great.
Yeah, whatever. And they go ahead and read 50 Shades of Grey. And they go ahead and read all this other stuff that tells us what their actual preferences are. If the man was hot enough for her to want to be doing the thing. Once again, be hot. It solves so many problems for you.
But I mean, even so, like, work with what you got as much as you can.
Yes.
Like, because no matter what you got,
not
like,
everybody's going to be an Olympian Greek god. But you can at least not be obese. You can at least go ahead and make sure that you have a decent set of proportions on you, a decent frame. You could be a force to be reckoned with. I think that martial prowess and all this kind of stuff is an incredibly important thing for men that we don't talk about in society that much.
Yeah, we all tell women that, you can do whatever and you need to take up space. Well, what does that, when you're silent on the other side of the coin, what does that communicate? Mm-hmm. That men have to apologize for just existing? No, men need to take up space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you have so many Nancys. I swear.
Well, it's funny because as a culture, we go ahead and like promote all these girl boss babes and all of this. Black Widow, 120 pounds soaking wet lady going ahead and beating up 300-pound man. It's like that doesn't happen in real life. And we are doing women a disservice by putting that in their face and saying that is the thing. Because when it comes to real life and they decide to throw a punch, most men won't hit back, but there will be one that will. Mm-hmm. And if you expect to have equal rights,
prepare
at some
for
point
equal lefts.
the equal lefts will come.
I swear, yeah. It's interesting. Like, that's what we told our son is like, you will use enough force to neutralize the situation.
Yeah. And if they come yapping real hard, end it. One go. Like, put them down easily. That's it. And then move on. Report the thing to the police. Go ahead and handle what you need to handle. But, this goes back to knowing the law and knowing what your left and right boundaries are. And I think that's kind of an important thing as a man operating in our society.
Yeah, with men, making sure, you make yourself what you can of what you got. But also, if you take the time to learn about, what speaks to her.
Right.
That goes so far.
It does. And the thing is, it's a combination of things, right? There are things that you can do from a general perspective to be attractive to a wide variety of people, because that is the general take of you being successful in your occupation, being emotionally in control of yourself, having physicality to yourself. All of those things are good and right for pretty much every circumstance. And then there's going to be particulars that apply to your specific person. Have both. Don't be like, oh, but I'm considerate and all this, and then take it as an excuse to be 350 pounds. Like, it's ridiculous. Don't do that. Things are not going to go well for you doing that.
But the thing is, like, you hit it that you took the time to learn what communicates love to me.
Right.
Like what I appreciate. Mm-hmm. And also you've gotten the real-time feedback from that, which is important.
Yeah, and it's important to pay attention to those things.
Yeah. But it comes with like a caution. Do not do this when you are just at the beginning stages of, we're talking kind of relationship.
Yeah. You don't want to give away the farm too quick.
You don't give away, especially just like wives should not give away wife behavior to any guy.
They give it away to a
men should to a wife.
No, wives give wife privileges to a
husband.
To a husband. There you go.
But also, men should not give husband behavior to any girl off the streets.
Exactly.
You have to make sure that she's worthy of it, especially men with women, because
they will take advantage of you otherwise.
Well, no, like if you do the flowers and the cards and all the dates and all of that stuff, and then when if you guys get married, then she'll be expecting more.
Yeah, that's the expectation. They're like, well, I'm a wife, so I should go ahead and get more now, right?
No, because already you were giving husband behavior. And you especially if you know what your means is going to be, throughout your career track.
Yeah.
You need to like work within those parameters.
Right.
Because she needs to be okay with the lifestyle beyond the altar.
Yeah, I think this goes
Plan the marriage.
This goes back to earlier in the discussion where I was mentioning how romance is often a trap for lower status men because they end up raising the level of expectation beyond their station. Mm-hmm. And that ends up being a problem. It's like, sure, that'll go ahead and get her into bed a time or two, but then you're going to end up having all these outsized expectations of you that you have no chance of fulfilling in an honest way.
Exactly.
So, like, why are you going to do that to yourself?
Especially like when you see these videos about these women are like, he only spent $200 on dinner for me.
Oh my gosh, $200 on a dinner date? That's ridiculous. As like a baseline expectation is crazy.
Sir, take her to Chili's.
Like, what are you doing? Well, I mean, like, okay, right, but here's the thing. There's different behaviors that you do depending on the level of the prospect that you're with, right? Like, if you're with a bona fide 10 and you are a guy that is the male equivalent of a bona fide 10, you are going to do the $200 dinner date. And you're going to pay attention and see if she is a bona fide 10. Because that environment is what is required to elucidate the knowledge that you need to discern whether she actually is a 10. Does she know what side of the plate the utensils go on? Does she know how to properly act in that circumstance and in that environment?
Yeah.
If she doesn't, then she's good looking, but that's it.
I would say but that is also at a higher level of the process.
Yeah, it just depends.
Like,
Depends on what's going on.
I will stand on this business that like, don't be above going first meeting for coffee.
Yeah, absolutely. And if things go well, then escalate from there.
And if she's like, no, I won't go to coffee with you because that's too cheap. Already, hard pass.
Yeah, move on. It's all good. It's either one, she is stuck up, or two, she's not actually that attracted to you. Because if she is attracted to you, she will accept it. Because women, generally speaking,
interesting. She wants to.
Generally speaking, they make rules for guys that they're not that interested in, and they will break all the rules for guys that they find viscerally hot.
Right.
Yeah.
Or just absolutely like captivating.
Yeah.
It doesn't even be like, honestly, we met, we were not attractive people at all.
No.
So.
But I was also 15 at the time.
I know,
so it's
but like
okay.
honestly, still when we were figuring stuff out, I was like, I wasn't there for all of this. I was there for like, let's talk about what we want to do with our lives.
Yeah, you're a little bit more practical about things than the average person, and
Yeah,
like
that's true. I am a weirdo, but honestly, it's part of planning the marriage,
right?
Not just trying to get to a wedding.
So going back to the idea of like leadership and submission and things of that nature, do you believe that women are evaluating men for their fitness to lead on a regular basis?
No.
That's interesting. I would disagree. I would think that they naturally do that, and that's why they test men. Is they'll go ahead and poke and prod a guy to see how he reacts to evaluate his fitness for leadership.
That doesn't. It happens further on in the progression.
Okay, but you do agree that it is something that does happen.
Okay, so I guess change my answer. Not at first.
Okay, cool. Right, because
there
there's
you go.
something else that they're looking for.
Yeah.
And they're making different assessments depending on the level of the relationship.
But definitely like the first impressions, the first couple of meetings and stuff like that, they're honestly, most modern women are looking for, what can you do for me?
Right. Now, the reason why I asked the question is it makes sense for a woman to decide whether or not she's going to submit based on her evaluation of his ability to lead. Does that make sense?
Yeah. When you are talking about evaluating them for a relationship to, because we talk about women are the gatekeepers of sex and men are the gatekeepers of relationships.
Right.
Right. So do I want to press for a relationship from this person? Then you're like, whether you admit it or not, whether you're thinking about it consciously or not, you will do that. And that's where those shit tests, like things come up.
Right. Okay.
And if you don't get any of the shit testing in the beginnings, like in the middle kind of stages when you're really like considering a relationship, and you've actually entered into a relationship and then she's trying to shit test you, there's something not right about that.
Right. Normally it's you've messed up in some way and now she's not sure of your status.
Yeah.
And so now she's testing you to go ahead and see where on the bar you are. And then she'll treat you accordingly based on how that works, which it just is what it is.
I think it's just something men should be aware of.
Oh, yeah.
If you're not getting shit tested like early on, when she starts that, then she's evaluating you for an actual, like, to stay with you.
Sure. And like the quantity and the quality of those tests are going to be dependent on how comfortable she feels with her assessment of you. And if she feels like you're the genuine article that you are worth being a ride or die for, then she's just going to hop on the bandwagon and be as little of a problem as possible because she finds you so compelling that she's willing to give up a lot of her autonomy for the sake of that relationship.
Yeah. And that is where women find submission abhorrent.
When's that?
When they see that it requires giving something up. Or handing something to another person.
Yeah. And I think that comes from their natural frame of being, right? If you go ahead and decide that you are a boss babe, that you are, at minimum a 50-50 partner, equal stake, equal equity, equal everything, your baseline framework does not allow for the possibility of giving up agency. However, I would think that there's a lot of women out there that have not been infected by this that don't have that as their baseline. And normally it's because they have a dad in their life.
Yes.
If we're being real honest.
Definitely.
That's normally the difference
maker. That's probably
maker.
the number one factor in that.
Is their dad is taking care of business.
Yeah.
And they understand that the dad does this for their mom, so they would want to see these things in the man that they would want.
I love that you're starting to get a little bit of kind of back and forth with our youngest daughter, like you do with our older one, like all the time. You like mess with her, so
Yeah, got to keep her on her toes.
But it's funny how it shows the differences in their personalities, how they react to it.
Yeah,
She's like, "Oh, it's happening to me now." Our youngest is funny.
Yeah, she's funny.
But she's about it. Like, it's just the difference between the two. It's funny.
Yeah, that's funny. So let's go ahead and move on to the idea of how to express submission when we disagree, because I think this is where the rubber meets the road. And I think this is where a lot of people will make arguments left and right about, oh, well, she only submits when she agrees with you. And it's like, okay, in a lot of families, that's true, that she'll only do that when she agrees. Well, what happens when you disagree? That's what we get into right now.
Is it happy wife, happy life?
Right. Is it happy wife, happy life, or are you actually leading your family? What's the difference, right?
Yeah. Going back to when we saw that video from the handbag, designer bag resale website where they came with a specific thing and she wanted these other things, and no, he wants this for her because he likes how that looks with her.
Right. So what is that? Go ahead and elucidate that, because a lot of people don't have that background.
Yeah. So it's like a company that resells like Birkins and
fancy
bags, Chanel's and all that stuff. And so this couple walked in and she was like, I want to buy this bag. And he looked at her and he's like, okay, well, we'll see.
Right.
Because, and you have to...
Who's paying for it?
Yeah, exactly. He is.
Right.
You have to understand that, like, these people communicate ahead of time before they go in front of the camera.
Right.
They've already pulled what they are looking for specifically. Mm-hmm. So she throws this curveball. If you know about the process of how these are made, you know that she's throwing the curveball that I want this. So the lady's like, okay. So she pulls what was already agreed upon and some extra that she was looking for. And so they had this whole back and forth, but I want this, but I want this. And it was that same kind of thing where she tried to pull a fast one.
Right. She tried to do the $44,000 Disney World trip.
Yes.
And then tried to go ahead and fight and kick and scream for it.
So he's like, no, we were going to see this, and this is what I think looks good on you. This is what I'm going to buy for you. And so all the comments came for them. Oh, you don't let her decide what she wants for herself. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, you know good goddamn well that, like, she already agreed to being on film under this guise, and she added this stuff in.
Yeah, she's the one that's playing.
She thought she was gonna get what she wanted just because they were on camera.
Yeah. And I think the guy did a great job.
And the guy held that line. He's like, this is what I agree to. This is what I want for you. Because it's him. Like, it's his preferences. He's not allowed to have preferences when it comes to what she looks like.
Yeah.
Or what she wears.
Well, that's always the funny thing is the female double standard with this is they want the ability to have their cake and eat it too. They want to have every element of choice, and they want all of their decisions to be under their control. And she
wants him to pay for it.
Right. She wants him to be responsible for the consequences of her decisions. Whereas as men, we understand that regardless of what goes on under our house, we are responsible for our decisions. It's interesting because if you go and you look at the old law, right, there were provisions in the law where if a woman were to make an oath and her husband were to hear of it, he had the unilateral right to negate the oath. Because if she could not fulfill the consequences of that oath, he was responsible for it.
He bore the consequences.
And so this concept has been around for thousands of years. And it's the basis of coverture law and all this other things that has existed in English common law since its inception. And so when we go ahead and see a lot of the feminist movement are like railing against it, and we couldn't get credit cards until the 70s. It's like, yeah, you also couldn't actually accumulate debt.
It was taken on by the husband.
Yes, the husband was responsible for
whoever was signing for that credit card.
Yeah. But ain't nobody want to talk about that.
Nobody wants to hear that part of it. Okay.
Yeah. It's as if the system was developed for a purpose and had a foundational underpinning as to why it was the way that it was.
Maybe you remember this off the top of your head.
What do you got?
There was the guy in the Bible where he was so happy. He was going home and he was so happy. He was like, whatever comes out of my front door first, I will sacrifice.
Oh.
And it was his daughter.
Yeah.
And his like loving daughter who was just so happy to see him that she was the one to race out first and she didn't even know.
That's so sad.
But he made the vow
Yeah.
So he had to,
Yeah, it was a foolish vow. And he made the vow to the Lord,
Yeah.
and he was responsible for taking it.
but it's like, could it wasn't even possible for mama/wifey to go and hear this and go, no, don't say that. Don't be hasty about that.
No.
She couldn't even have the option to negate the vow like the husband could to a wife.
Yeah, and it reminds me of the foolishness of Herod, too. When Herodias' daughter had performed for the crowd, and he said, anything. You can ask for anything, up to half my kingdom. And the daughter went to her mom, and it was like, I want the head of John the Baptist. And Herod the Great went ahead, and he made that vow in front of everybody.
It was very public.
So he had to do it, and he did not want to do it. But he was honor bound to do it.
And it cost him
Oh, yeah, it did.
dearly.
Well, I mean, in that case, he was doing something he clearly should not have been doing. He took his brother's wife.
But he was
And he was
already
called out.
like very disturbed anyway.
Oh, yeah.
You
But-
know, especially later in life, how paranoid he was and all of that.
Yeah, but all that's neither here nor
Anyway.
there. So, like, going back to the idea of, like, how things happen when we disagree. That's the fundamental thing. How do you express disagreement now?
So the biggest instance of that comes to mind, especially recently,
Okay.
was our daughter was having medical issues. And I was okay with a certain plan of treatment, and you were not. For actual reasons, you know?
Right.
I was just like, and mainly I was operating off of, kind of family history that if she had issues like this, I had similar issues when I was her age, and I didn't get the care that I thought I needed and I should have.
Right.
But we didn't even know what was what when I was
then.
that age. So now I saw that she could get, what I wasn't given kind of thing. So I was kind of projecting that onto there. And you were seemingly the roadblock to that.
Yeah. And you had feelings about that.
And so I was almost like hysterical, almost out of desperation. And, in my brain, it was valid. And it was like, for me, it was a matter of my child's survival.
Right.
But that was the most recent time that this dynamic was put to the test. And I was like, and I know that, you're making this decision and you are making the decision ultimately, but I have to say this and I have to make my case.
Right.
And I did. And to my credit, I will say, kind of patting myself on the back that I tried to be as rational as I could in that telling you where I was coming from.
Yeah, considering the level of emotionality that was
Yeah.
behind it, I think you did a really good job
Yeah.
of expressing yourself in a respectful manner and putting your thoughts and your feelings out for consideration. And I think that the deal is I heard you out.
Yes.
And I listened to you genuinely.
And you said those words to me, like, I hear you. I understand this completely, but this is the decision I'm making.
Right.
And ultimately, then it was up to me. It's like, am I going to sit here and continue to, have a temper tantrum like a child? Or what I ultimately did do was go, okay. And I had to walk away from that. I put it on the table and I walked away. And that was it. And it was interesting because there was an alternate plan of treatment that I thought was closed to us because we'd have to pay out of pocket. It was like ridiculously expensive to even consider for a shot at it working.
Right.
But because you closed the door to what they wanted to do and what I thought they would ultimately should do, we got the best possible option.
Right.
And, it took a little hemming and hawing, but she got what she needed. She got and now we're moving forward with her other injury that she has sustained and that she couldn't have surgery because
Of stuff.
of that other stuff. So it was interesting how that all came right the way it was supposed to because you stood on business.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't know at the time that other option
No.
would come available, but I knew that it was something that was operating in the background that could possibly be the case. And so I was looking at all the relevant options and the relevant documentation and all the medical research that was associated with the different things, and I was making an informed decision on behalf of my daughter.
Mm-hmm. And it was interesting because ultimately, in the middle of when things were like bottoming out, and I took her myself. It was just her and I. We went out of town to a children's hospital. Like, I could have been underhanded and just let them do whatever, and not said, my husband does not want this to happen. My husband is not okay with this. So we have to refuse this method of treatment, because they just, see her out of nowhere, and they were like, well, this is what we do. And so to the point where I called you to make sure every part of what we did there was okay.
Yeah. And I spoke with the physician involved.
I could have been underhanded, and I could have been shady and just was like, yeah, give it to her. It's fine.
Yeah. But what would have happened had I seen the chart after the fact?
I probably would not be married today.
Yeah.
Honestly, that is that deep of a betrayal. I know that for a fact. Knowing you and knowing the gravity of the situation, especially when it comes to our child, I would not be married today.
Right. Because it's one of those things where it's like, it's a fundamental disrespect and betrayal for something that I am genuinely making an informed decision on behalf of others, as I have been for the entire length of our marriage, for the entire length of my time as a business owner, for the entire length of my time in national service. Anything has been primarily for the benefit of those under my charge. And that's just what it is. And I think that a lot of guys that have this adjusted, mature perspective, who are fit to be rulers, would not abide by that. And let's be real honest, not all men are fit to be rulers. And it takes time and effort and patience and development and training and mentorship to become that man. And when you do attain it, you should not accept anything less from those around you. That's just what it is. So what other less emotionally charged ways do you have where you kind of express disagreement in things like the everyday? Right? That was a pretty exceptional case with pretty grave consequences that were on the table for your decision-making tree.
Yeah, that's really why I wanted to highlight that, because
that's when it counted.
That really is the most intense test of it.
Right.
Right? But the everyday, they want to go just go out shopping and drop $300 on a whim. No.
Don't do that. No, ma'am.
Or stuff but it's for this and that and the other thing. And, just
willy-nilly.
Yeah. The whole better to beg forgiveness than to ask permission.
Yeah, that's not how this house works.
No. But it's stuff like that where it's no, we don't do that. Knowing the right and left boundaries to work under.
So now that's describing your field of play. What I'm asking for is, in the everyday, when you disagree on something, how does that normally play out? And what is your thought process going through it, is what I'm going for.
It's actually, because
it's relatively rare that this happens nowadays.
The other thing that was such a big stress test for it, it works like that almost on a smaller scale, where it's just I have said problem. I bring said problem and go, here's spaghetti ball. Can we work with this? Kind of thing.
And I go, take the spaghetti ball and I pull the strands of spaghetti to analyze what is going on with this. Because when you present it, oftentimes it is not clearly articulated.
Yeah.
And it's what are the circumstances that are going on here?
What are we doing here?
what is actually the problem?
Yeah. Yeah. But it's mostly present situation and then we'll talk about it. And then if it's something where it's just no, that's not. Mm-mm.
Now, how do you express your side of disagreement is the fundamental question.
Now? I
because
try,
we don't agree on everything.
Yeah.
Right? There are times where there's even a minor decision that needs to be made and you have feelings about something and I feel a certain kind of way about it. I have made my own assessments about a situation and we end up on different ends of it.
Mainly it's I try to, because I've worked enough at this that I don't just make things decisions out of just feelings, and because I don't want to, It's more, there are some things underneath where I have to go, wait, stop. Why do I feel this way? Where is this coming from? And then I kind of try as best I can to articulate that, because it doesn't just come out of just a vacuum.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So in times past, you would go ahead and react emotionally a lot of times, whereas now you have grown in wisdom, you have grown in comportment, the way that you carry yourself, and now you consider some alternatives. And like, you have some blind spots to things, and that's just, everybody has blind spots. And you will bring something to consideration or bring an element of disagreement from your own perspective, but you'll try to take the time to be respectful about how you do it now.
Yeah. And especially just the knowledge that I have blind spots, because I don't have that 30,000 foot view like you do. So if something genuinely, it's like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why? What's happening? It's just like, I know even to ask, like, wait, what am I not seeing? What are the factors behind the curtain or whatever that I'm not seeing? I know I don't need to know every situation at all times and everything that you're working with behind the scenes. But when it's relevant to my concerns, then I know to ask.
Yeah, and I think you do a good job of asking it, right? You don't go, but why? You just go, so this thing, I'm not seeing what you're seeing. What's the deal with this?
Yeah. What's going on in the other factors that are probably connected to it that I don't know about?
Yeah, and it's really interesting because, like, this kind of thing happens at staff meeting a lot of times too. It's like when there's a problem on the table, a lot of times I'll go ahead and ask the employee, it's like, so what is this thing? What's the challenge that's in front of you? And what is the limiting factor? Or like the way that they articulate themselves will usually lead me to think through the problem on my own with a different perspective. And I go, have you looked at this, or this? So that we can get on the same sheet of music. But it's interesting how that whole process runs. Is it runs not a whole lot different from how we run in a marriage. Is here is my proposal for what the problem is. Here is a possible solution. This is the part of the solution that I'm missing. And then I'll go ahead and ask, have you discussed this matter with this person that may have insights on this specific problem?
Yeah, because the crux of the matter is, when we were trying to develop our dynamic as a married couple, we very quickly realized that 90% of our disagreements were based on misunderstanding, miscommunication, those kinds of things where we had other things at play in our own pockets that we weren't showing.
Yeah.
What we spent the rest of our married life to this day working out is knowing when to ask what other things need to be brought into and when it really wasn't relevant.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of practice in doing. But the thing that keeps us going is our commitment to a mission, our commitment to one another.
Yeah. We have something higher above us that we appeal to for our North Star. And that keeps us on the trajectory to go and do the things we need to do.
It's not instantly, well, you're not doing what I want, so you don't care about me.
Oh, yeah. Where it's like, we disagree, so therefore you hate me. It's like, no. That's not the case. We can have an intellectual disagreement, or we can believe that we have different courses of action that makes sense to do in a given circumstance. Yeah. And it isn't because there is a lack of love or a lack of fidelity or anything like that. It is just a fundamental difference in what we see. And sometimes it's a matter of articulation. It's, look, the thing that you don't see is this. Here it is. If we do this, then this is the second and third order effect of that. I don't want the results of this action on our plate because this is a net negative for the family. As a result, this is the thing. Now, I'm not required to go ahead and give you that full articulated response if there is there's time sensitivity to the decision, right? But I'm usually one, if you have questions about it, once the heat of the moment is passed, that I'll take time to let you in on the things that make sense to let you in on, right? And other times it's just, I ask you, look, I need you to trust me for right now. We're going to do this thing. and then I'll come back and circle back, kind of like you do with the children.
Yeah.
Is there is a requirement, and I think like it's kind of a rough thing to say, but sometimes if you were to treat your wife like the oldest teenager in the house, sometimes like it sounds bad, but like that's not a bad way to do it, right? It's just like you're a responsible person, but I need you to know that sometimes I need to just have you do the thing, and then I'll come back and I'll circle back because I care about you, I love you, and I want you to know what's in my heart of hearts and what's important to me and how I feel about you. And when you see that and when you feel that, you were edified in that process.
Yeah. The difference, I think, is in dealing with a child of any age.
Right.
Like, you don't owe them an explanation.
Right.
But you give it when you can. But that's not all the time.
Correct.
Whereas when you are talking about a spouse, sometimes, yeah, there isn't time and I just need you to, fall in line, husband to wife, not
Right.
the other way around.
Yes.
Don't get it twisted. But there will eventually be an explanation because
If requested.
Not that you do, it's not that you owe me the explanation, but that you know that I'm going on trust right now.
Yeah.
And you kind of need to keep that dynamic balanced.
I validate your trust.
Right? Yeah. So it's not that you owe me an explanation. Doesn't matter.
it's
Okay,
not like that.
I'll go with you for right now, but you better, come back to no.
Yeah, that's not it.
It's not how it is, but it's the, expectation that there will be a forthcoming kind of broader debrief of the situation and what was at play. Which to this day I can say that has happened every time.
Yeah, especially if you ask for it. And like sometimes you don't ask for it and it's like
sometimes it's like,
it's really
fast.
just not that important enough, right?
Sometimes it's ADHD squirrel.
Yeah, it's like, oh, here's the new shiny quarter. And you're like, oh, shiny quarter. Let me go do that. I'm like, okay.
Sometimes that's just how it be.
I guess I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Okay.
Fair enough. And it's just a matter of like acting in wisdom and just like knowing the difference between those kinds of things.
And it takes work. Oh no, it takes work.
Oh no, work. What are we going to do? So I think that there's some frameworks that are really useful in this. And I think something that guys can do to really help out is when they are saying to their wife, I've heard your concerns. I understand where you're coming from. This is my responsibility. I'm making this decision. That's just what's going to happen. And just letting her know that you have taken the time to consider what she said genuinely, not like, yeah, whatever.
Like our deepest need is to be known.
Yes.
So it's like, I see you. I know exactly where you're coming from.
Right. And then like from the wife's perspective, it's just asking to understand the husband's concerns fully so that she can know him better.
Yes.
And then while she disagrees, to say, look, I'm going to disagree with you, but I'm not going to undermine you. And to actually follow through with that which he has decided is something that is very powerful for both sides of that equation.
Yes. And, not a lot of times, but quite often in the process that we, make ourselves heard and we state that purpose. I showed you that like little video that's like animated today. Yeah. The power in that submissive state is that you get to present in a correct and respectful way so that it can be heard by your husband. That you see all of these, because essentially, day to day in the home, I'm the boots on the ground.
Correct.
Just like with our employees, where they're the ones who see the pain points every day.
Yeah.
That they can bring it to you and be like, this is what I'm struggling with. These are my roadblocks. And this is why I need this solved. Or and these are my proposed things, options. Doing that, you quite often, especially if these are reasonable asks, you will get absolutely, I can help with that. Yeah, absolutely. Let's move in that direction. It's not that you don't have a voice, ever. You have a voice, absolutely. And it's a valid one because you're the one who sees day to day what needs tending in the house. And we talk about men are the thermostat, but women are the thermometer.
Right.
So, we come with a perspective and presented respectfully, we have all the power that we need.
Right. Because you don't want the responsibility associated with the decision.
Absolutely not.
Right? And so insofar as the extent that you're willing to take accountability for the decision-making process, you have all of the influence that you require to have any kind of influence over the decision-making process.
Like, it's interesting because a lot of women, they just don't want people telling them no.
Or telling them what to do.
But anybody, it's funny because, in Proverbs, it talks about the cost of rejecting counsel, wise counsel,
right.
and anybody who comes to admonish you or correct you. It's not saying that you're a terrible person for doing this, but you're not getting finger wagged at. You're just getting feedback with solutions to be better.
Right.
Who doesn't? What reasonable person doesn't want that? It's just that it's this man telling you what to do. No, it's not. Just as, I can tell him, like, oh, I've noticed that you kind of shifted and changed this way. Is that something that you've noticed? Maybe, maybe you need to do something about it. Maybe not. But I'm just telling you what I see.
Right.
I can correct, quote unquote, this person just the same as he's going to correct me. And let's be honest, wives, we need more correction than they do, probably, by and large. Because the world kicks you guys in the nuts way more.
Yeah.
The world will tell you what you're doing wrong more than we will.
Yeah, the world will flat out tell men that they're failures, whereas they'll gas women up.
Because we should be getting it at home.
Right.
We should be getting that correction in safer environments because we don't have the high stakes of responsibility.
Right.
This is how it is. So if you want no man, you don't need no man telling you what to do or telling you what's what, then you get all the responsibility when you screw up.
Sure. And then the funny thing is a lot of these women will say that they don't need no man, they're not going to submit to anybody, but then they'll go to work and they'll submit to the boss. They will obey when to be there, they'll be there on time, what to wear, and how to be. And they'll have no problems obeying and submitting to that authority. But yet when it's the husband that they go ahead and claim to love, honor, respect, and have vowed to obey, they choose not to.
It's just interesting. Everyone's like, well, my boss is a woman. You climb that corporate ladder anywhere high enough and you will get to a man. So you are still submitting to a man.
Yeah, in the vast majority of cases, right? So like the general case is at the top of the food chain is a guy. Because guys are the ones that are most oriented to this, like to the ridiculous pressures associated with the highest levels of positions, because you're bearing that much more responsibility.
And if you are adamant that you only work for women, then that organization is sexist and we need to look at that legally.
Right, but at the same time, like, it's so funny because there's a bunch of organizations that have done that, and so many of them have just like failed.
They failed.
Like I remember there was this one coffee shop where they went ahead and went to charge men more than they charged women for coffee, and they folded in like a month and a half, and they spent through all their seed money, everything, just abysmal failure. I'm like, okay, well, social justice is one thing, but like it turns out that reality ends up hitting you in the nerds when you're the one that's operating without cover and you're deciding you're going to take on all the responsibility.
There you go.
But there's a lot of benefits for being a daughter or a wife under cover of a responsible, well-ordered man who loves and cares for you genuinely and wants the best for you.
And if you say, but my man is not this or that or well-ordered or anything, well, then you
picked
picked
him.
wrong.
You done picked him. Right?
So
right.
There's that.
Yeah. So what do you think are some things that guys will do that makes submission harder than it has to be? And it doesn't have to be our reality, but it has to, like, somewhere in this society. You've seen this all over the place.
I think the main thing and the main gripe that I've heard from women is I can't trust him. Mm-hmm. Well, should have done that in the vetting process.
Right.
But, okay, like, that's why I say when you are seriously considering, you need the shit test should come. Mm-hmm. They should be coming. And if they're not, you need to kind of force it, I guess, somehow. Yeah. I don't know. But Yeah, the main thing is like the main gripe is I don't trust him. Well, then you can't count on somebody that you haven't like seen enough consistency from. Don't go rushing to the altar with that person unless you can trust them.
Yeah.
You can trust that they have your best interest at heart. They have your family's best interest at heart. And hopefully you guys have a mission, you know, a shared vision for what you want your family, your home, your lifestyle to look like.
Yeah. I think something that guys really do to really shoot their ability to do this into the toilet is when a decision is to be made and he goes with her recommendation and then it goes badly and then he goes and he puts responsibility on her. He says, I went with your idea.
So it's like the reverse of I told you so.
It's the reverse I told you
Yikes.
so.
That's so
and so
easy.
like that just ruins it.
Yeah.
But we know that when, as men, if we go ahead and make a decision and it goes wrong, it's my job to clean it up. I'm going to clean up my messes. I don't care what pain or suffering I have to go through to clean up the messes that I made. I'm going to do it.
If you get that dynamic, if you're a wife and you get that dynamic from your husband, you have my full permission to say I told you so when it goes wrong in his favor. That's just how that goes. But ultimately,
no, that's
it
going to
will-
damage the
It will
relationship.
steer you to the end of the marriage.
Yep.
That's just both ways. It's the, you know, in a nutshell, very oversimplified. Do you want to be married or do you want to be right?
Yeah.
Those things do no good for anything.
Yeah.
Your responses to situations and your, you know, presentation of situations that you see, they need to be conducted respectfully. And you need to like think about it for a minute. What is this going to do for my relationship? Is it going to build it up or is it going to tear it down?
Yeah. And so the big thing is, guys, when you make a decision and it goes well, own it with grace.
That's great.
And when it goes wrong, own it with grace. There's nothing that is going to go well by blaming others for decisions that you made, regardless of where the source of the decision-making process came from. If you were the decision-making authority, you bear the responsibility. And that's it.
I can say, women, when he makes a decision and it goes well, tell him he did great. Because guess what? When he makes a good decision and it goes well, we win.
Yes.
That is the best part of that shared scoreboard.
It's the family scoreboard.
Yeah.
It's not, does he win or does she win? It's, do we win?
Yeah.
Do we win as a team from this? Right?
And so when it doesn't go well, just
Try to encourage him,
be there.
especially if he's owning the responsibility.
Yeah.
Like if he's owning it, part of your responsibility as a woman is to encourage him, because every failure that a man survives builds him up to be better and stronger. And there are times where by investing that caring, nurturing spirit in that man, you will reap so much more as a result of it.
Especially if you're in the throes of trying to figure out that this is a problem that you guys have and you need to walk it back. When things don't go well, trust that he is probably taking it worse than you could ever dish it out any nag session. Trust me. And he's going to learn what to do next time.
Yeah.
He's already setting up for the next attempt, hopefully.
Yeah, if he is
Make
a
him
well-ordered
his favorite
man,
meal.
take good care of him.
Take
Otherwise,
good care of him in the bedroom and be quiet. You don't need to say anything.
yeah,
feed
if
him
you're going to
good.
say something negative, don't say anything at all in that case.
Feed him well, love him well, and just be quiet. At the very least. You know?
3 S's. Sandwiches, silence, and the other thing.
Nice. But like it, especially women, err on the, and that's why the Bible talks about submission and silence a lot, because we need to hear it a lot. Like if you can't say something nice, right? Err,
Thumper's mom, or
Right?
Bambi's mom said that, I think.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's from Bambi. I remember
Err
that.
on the side of silence. You really can't go wrong.
Yeah. You ready for some rapid fire now?
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool. The question so the baseline assumption is, how are things different under submission compared to when you were taking everything on yourself?
So in the beginning / after the turn.
Those are the comparisons that are
Okay.
being made. Do you feel more peaceful?
Absolutely, I do now. I didn't, because beforehand it would be temporary.
Do you feel more feminine now?
I always have, to be honest.
Okay. Do you feel safer now?
Before it was temporary, and now it's permanent. I feel complete. I feel in like this like gossamer bubble, like rolling yourself up in a fuzzy blanket.
Okay. Did your feelings of affection change?
Yes.
Okay.
It was always this like strife, because if I would force the issue, then I would feel bad, like inward. But I was like, but it's for the good of everything. And it wasn't. Now, I just, like a duck in water. We just going. Just keep swimming.
Did your level of attraction change?
I feel like my ability to feel connected and attracted, I feel like roadblocks were put out of there. Like we're thrown out of the way.
Were removed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the way was made more clear for us to have a more consistent connection.
Okay. Did you have fewer, or do you have decreased levels of resentment?
Yes. Overall, yes. Before it was like every little thing I knew I was going to have to do battle, right? And now it's just like, even if the answer is not how I would want it to go, there was those words, I hear you, but this is what I need to do.
Okay.
And to be okay with that.
Do you feel more comfortable offering counsel?
Yes, I went from walking on eggshells almost. I have to do this just right. I have to play it just right, like all the schemes and scenarios in my head. Whereas now, I just go, here's my piece. Here's my take. Do with it what you will. I just put it on the table and I put my hands down and I go, whatever we do with this is fine.
Yeah, I think it's interesting where you were talking about how you were scheming before, right? And scheming has negative implications.
It
and
does.
You are intentional when you
I
use those
admit
words.
that. Yes, I absolutely openly admit that.
Right.
But I mean, still there's a formula right now that
There's
I
a
have
thought
to
process.
use. I have to, and it's not shady or malicious in its intent.
Talk to us a little bit about that real quick.
So, right, I know that you kind of are, I'm way more like look far in advance kind of thing.
On certain things.
Yeah, like my
Administrative
little
things.
planning gene, right?
Yeah.
And I know that something is happening, but it's not for a while. So at a certain juncture, I'll make sure to bring it up. And I leave it alone. I just let you know, heads up, this is on the horizon. That's it. And then as we get closer, I'm like, hey, we're going to need this. Say, like paying the licensing fees to
CC or whatever.
yeah. So, hey, I told you maybe like last month, I was like, oh, we need to pay the licensing fees. And, even when I came back from the thing last week, I was like, oh gosh, I got to pay those. And now it's like July and I'm like, just to let you know right now, like I was going to later, but I was like, hey, we need to probably pay those.
That's fine. We can take care of it this evening.
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
So it just makes it more easy for you to work it into all the other things you have going on.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because before, when I would try and I would have to push it and push for it now. I would just wait and then push for it now when it was like, oh, it has to happen right now. But you're like, I can take care of it in 2 weeks. It's like, wait, we need to do it now. So now I understand the process, which works for you.
And works for us as a family.
Right?
Yeah.
Before I was just operating on my stuff, how I need to feel safe, right?
Right.
So now I've learned enough about you to know how you operate. And especially, I didn't even fathom all the stuff that you have to deal with day to day. So now I know how to fold it in and it works better for both of us, for all of us. So we all benefit from it.
That's true. It's true. Do you feel like periods of conflict are shorter now?
Yes, absolutely. It used to be, days, maybe like a whole week of, I'll sleep in here. I'm going to go sleep in the other room. Couldn't even be in the same room together just because
Because you were like disordered.
The resentment and all the uppity feel, all this stuff where it's so much easier to resolve things, especially the fact that we could still be in a state of conflict with this one thing. And, there have been times where we're still like intimate, even though we're beefing about something.
Sure. Because it's its own thing that is like a very small piece of the overall puzzle. And it's like, why would we ruin everything else that's going on for the sake of this petty squabble?
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
But it was a progression. It was like, I can't love you. Like at first it was like, I can't love you because I don't like you.
Yeah.
And then it went from, I love you, but I don't like you right now.
Yeah.
And even like now it's like, I love you and I like you, but I don't like this thing.
Right. Which is interesting because I think that, so this is another video that you had sent me today where a lot of times women are very attuned to the negative and not attuned to the positive. And when they're beefing about something, they'll list all the negatives. And then if you ask them, can you list one positive? And just nothing. Crickets. Because for whatever reason, it's all bad or it's all good. And no matter what, if he is doing all these things and this one thing is wrong, for some reason, now he's the villain.
Especially, I think it comes with women who have had a tumultuous family of origin.
Or previous relationships.
Oh, yeah.
Both of those things could be
Definitely
leading factors to cause that.
I just know I can speak to the former rather than the latter.
I understand. I'm just talking about like the general environment in which we live. And I think a lot of people can go ahead and associate
anybody
with that.
who's bringing baggage from previous relationships of family of origin or, significant other situations, like that will be a pain point
that'll be brought in.
That will be a roadblock in a current to the success of a other significant relationship. Current relationship.
Do you believe that marriage has gotten easier since submitting?
Oh my gosh, absolutely, by and large. But it took work. It was really hard to do. Mm-hmm. And for me personally, it started almost outside of our marriage. It started with like, back and forth with people on like social media or something and typing out a whole thing. And I'm like, I'm going to show them. I'm like, why does this need to be said? Like, why do I feel the need to like, I have to have the last word? And then, so it almost like that way it transferred into, why do I need to like say anything right now? And it's just delete, move on.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have the whole thing sitting right there with send. I just X out of it. I'm like, I'm done. We don't need to do this.
What surprised you most about the difference between maintaining your control and then submitting? What's the biggest thing that was just like
maintaining what control?
Over your own circumstances, your own decision making, as opposed to submitting.
Oh.
That difference. What was the most surprising thing about the shift?
It seems like, especially from an outside perspective, like looking at it through the lens of a modern woman, it seems like the more you give up, the more you gain, like the more influence that you gain. And that seems so counterintuitive. Like, I understand how the modern female mind can see this, but you literally have to get over yourself. You literally have to just try it. And don't just try it for like, a month or whatever. Try it for a good long while. Make it like this is like a New Year's resolution.
Make
but
it a
in
discipline
July,
or something.
Christmas or New Year's in July. Start now. Hey, it's America's birthday tomorrow, so
there you go.
Do it tomorrow. Like,
do it for America.
Do it for America.
Making families better, making the country better, one family at a time.
Make a 4th of July resolution that you're just gonna try it.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the year, when you're, sitting there at the end of the year making your New Year's resolutions or whatever, evaluate how it went. Mm-hmm. Be interesting.
Cool. Do you have any closing practical advice for women that has not been covered, or something that you really want to punctuate for women?
So we were talking about, the man's need for respect and a woman's need for love. Mm-hmm. Like, love through all the crazy, through all the chaos goblinry, all the dumbfuckery, whatever. One, both spouses need to look at each other like they aren't the enemy.
Right.
That they are your ally. That you are back to back covering each other and in that purpose together. And to, especially when it comes to disagreements, to really understand and kind of figure out, are you saying that she doesn't agree with me, so she doesn't love me or she doesn't respect me? And then like, he doesn't agree with me, so he doesn't love me. He didn't do what I wanted, so he doesn't love me. Those are both absolutely in a relationship between two committed spouses that is not true. And really sometimes, like we had done a few times, especially the last like big thing, not the medical thing, but the thing before it, like you literally said, do you think I'm here to hurt you? I'm doing what I'm doing to hurt you. It's like, well, no, that sounds crazy, because it is crazy. But, you know, you have to realize that when you don't offer the proper respect or deference, that is what you're doing. You are saying that you are doing these things like oblivious of my feelings. And when you reject your husband, when you are, when he says this is what we should do, you'll say, oh, yes, 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 and go do whatever you want. That is communicating that you have zero consideration and respect for him, these are the most catastrophic things you can do to your relationship. That is you, especially as a wife, tearing your house down with your own hands. Don't do this. Be each other's ally. Get a shared vision if you don't have one, especially if you purport to be a Christian family.
Yep, absolutely. So as a guy, I'd also say that it's important to take on your responsibilities with grace. And if you are not that man that can take a look at a problem and look at it without an emotional lens, that's something to work on. If you have the inability to control your emotions, that's something to work on. If you have the inability to listen to someone and listen to the feelings behind the words that they are saying, that's something to work on.
Especially with women.
Because oftentimes it is not what they are saying, it is how they are saying. And once you can attune yourself to listen to not just the content of what she is saying, but the context of what she is saying, you are much better equipped to make an accurate assessment of her state of mind and her state of being to provide her with what you will provide her in terms of leadership, in terms of guidance, and in terms of how you relate to her. If you can do those three things, you're going to go really far. And this is on top of all the things that you need to do to be a consolidated man. But these three things of paying attention to context and content, listening for what she is saying behind what she is saying, and how to express yourself in a way that meets her needs in her heart, you're going to do great.
Yeah.
You're going to do great, and she will love you for it.
That is a man.
That's the deal.
Who is really, trying to walk this back in his family. It takes a lot of strength, but it is communicating to her that I see you and I know you, or I'm trying to know you better.
Yeah.
And it's powerful. You have no idea. Like, there have been times where I've just been like all up in a tizzy, and I'll just start crying because I'm just like, he's trying to figure out where this is coming from, what part of my heart is hurting, and to try and heal it, which is like an amazing thing. It's almost like reaching down on a spiritual level and going, where are you hurting? Where can I fix this? And it's so funny because a lot of times, we're so emotional. It's like, I just want you to be heard. I don't want you to fix it, but that is fixing it. I think that is where the meeting of the spouses. That's where that's where you will meet each other, where you're at
in proper communication.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's submission in a nutshell. It's the end of part 2, and something came to my mind while we were talking about this. So you know how, have you ever paid attention or listened to Crossing Field? Do you know what the song Crossing Field is?
Yes.
Okay, it's the opening theme for the first season of Sword Art Online.
Yes.
And if you ever listen to the English lyrics, they are sung from the perspective of Asuna, the female protagonist of the story. And basically, it is her giving of herself to the male protagonist and giving of herself in submission to him, which is wild how, like, in our modern society, that gone relatively unnoticed, because I think that people don't think about these things in this way. So I think I might just do a YouTube video on that.
Ooh.
Like, hey, submission as sung in Sword Art Online or something. I don't know. There's some angle to that, but I think that's great. For those of you who subscribe to this because you saw the other channel blow up, thank you so much for your subscription. I hope you enjoy these frank and honest discussions that we go ahead and have about family and life and stuff that's actually worth talking about.
And the work that we've done already.
Yeah.
That we want to share with other people.
Yeah. And we just want you guys to have a better life and a better family, because I believe that if we have better families that are stronger and stand the test of time, we're going to have a better nation and a better world writ large. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.